Hey guys, good morning. It is Kerry Jeffrey from Emotional Autoimmunity. For those of you who don't know me, I am a clinical hypnotherapist, counselor, and life coach. I work online with clients all over the world who also have chronic illness, and I provide therapy solutions for the complex emotional issues that go along with having chronic illness. Now, I'm sorry I didn't get an opportunity to tell you I was doing this yesterday. I wasn't feeling that good yesterday, to be honest. I spent most of the day in bed and on the couch. This celiac flare that I'm going through is hanging around. It's been about 6 weeks now, but I'm hopeful that I'll be coming out of it relatively soon. Fingers crossed. So what I've been doing for the past few weeks is I've been working my way through my ebook, Moving Through the Grief of Chronic Illness. This is a free resource that is available to everybody. You can get it easily on my website by signing up to be part of my VIP list. And just a little hint here, if you are not on my list, I really highly recommend that you get on it as soon as possible today. Can't tell you why, but there's very good reason for doing so. Sorry, I've got a hair that has come loose. I'm experiencing also, as well as my flare, I'm also experiencing a lot of hair loss at the moment. So literally my hair is everywhere. It is shedding everywhere. So many joys in life at the moment. So yeah, definitely, if you're not on my list, get on my list now. Like wink, wink, there is something very special, and you will be very happy to be on my list now. Can't say any more about that. Right, so this model is basically, because there wasn't anything out there when I first got chronic illness over 5 years ago to help me make sense of what I was going through emotionally, I have created this, and it will walk you through all of the different stages you can go through. So all you need to do in order to get your free copy of this ebook is go over to my website, sign up. There is a sign up form in the middle of the home page. There is one at the bottom of every single page, and there is a pop-up as well. What you must do, and this is where people make a mistake, when you sign up, you will receive a confirmation email. You must respond to the confirmation email or you won't be on the list. Your email will just sit there pending indefinitely, and after about 60 days it'll just be removed. So it might go to your junk or your spam box. You must respond to the confirmation email. Once you do that, you will receive an email with the link to this ebook. So what I'm talking about today is phase 5, and phase 5 is grief. And a lot of people have said to me, well, if this is moving through the grief of chronic illness, why is grief in itself a phase? Like, shouldn't that just be the whole point of the model? And well, no. When it comes to chronic illness, grief is an ongoing process. And the biggest grief of chronic illness is the loss of the self. And then there are a series of ongoing, either micro or bigger griefs of things that you lose, things that you realize you won't be able to do again. There's a whole lot of griefs that go with this. And grief is actually where a lot of people get stuck. The two of the phases where people really get stuck, people get stuck in denial. So they decide that, no, I'm not going to allow this illness into my life. I'm just going to keep pushing through. Everything's going to go on as normal. And people get stuck in grief. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the phase, and then I'm going to expand and talk a little bit more about it. So here we go. Phase 5, grief. Being diagnosed with chronic illness is a life-changing event that does not receive the recognition and support that it deserves from the medical community, family, friends, or society. This makes the grief of chronic illness even harder to reconcile because there is no recognition or validation from anyone around you about what you are feeling and trying to deal with, often alone. The grief at being diagnosed with chronic illness is extensive and overwhelming. You grieve the person that you used to be, the one who used to get sick occasionally but would always recover and get back to normal, the one who used to wake up in the morning and get things done. It is a complete loss of identity and of the person who you were before the chronic illness took over your life and body. You grieve for your old life and the energy, health, and abilities that you had back then. Being able to socialize and enjoy time with friends, being able to stay out all night and not be shattered for weeks, not waking up in pain, exhausted, wondering how you're going to get through the day. You grieve for the person that you used to see in the mirror and for the life and identity that chronic illness has taken away from you. And more than anything, you just want your old life back. Chronic illness can mean the loss of your career that you may have spent years training and working towards, and your means of financially supporting yourself and your family. Chronic illness can take away activities that were a big part of your life and your social network that you may never regain. Chronic illness can take you from thriving and enjoying your life and looking forward to the future to barely surviving and struggling to find the energy and motivation to get through the day. Chronic illness can feel like a life sentence that is as isolating and confining as any prison. Feeling trapped in a body that is inflamed, weak, unreliable, and unfamiliar, and no one around you seems to understand what you are going through and what you have lost. Your thoughts become full of what ifs. What if I get worse? What if my partner leaves me? What if I can't work anymore? What if this damages my children and they end up hating me? What if I never get better? This only adds to the grief and the feeling that you have lost your old identity and the certainty of your life that went with it. Many avenues of comfort and community can feel lost to you. Not having enough energy to go to your church to worship, not being able to spend time out with friends and family, not being able to play with your children or travel any further than a short distance away. Dietary changes mean that things like dining out, barbecues, parties, or catered events can become extremely difficult to negotiate. Because so much of our social and emotional lives revolve around food and eating together, you grieve the loss of just being able to eat anywhere with friends and family like you did before. You grieve the loss of comfort foods and traditional family meals that you may never be able to eat again. The most difficult part of the grief is that there are very few people who understand or offer support. Many people with chronic illness just don't talk about how they feel because they don't feel believed and they don't feel that people are genuinely interested in listening to them. All of the significant relationships in your life can be changed in ways that you did not expect or anticipate because others are not willing or able to understand just how much things have changed for you. You can get to see a very different side of friends and family in ways that can be hurtful and disappointing, and not all of your relationships may survive the transition, which only adds to the feelings of loss. Chronic illness challenges you to forge a new identity, and in many cases, a very new and different life. But before that can happen, the old one must be fully grieved and acknowledged before you are ready to move on. So, why so many people get stuck at this stage is that the grief of all of the things that you've lost and how many things have changed for you can feel so overwhelming that when you have so little energy and you're walking on that tightrope ride of just trying to get through the day, like find a way just to get through the day and do the things that you've got to do, you really don't want anything to affect that balance because it doesn't take much to tip you over the edge. And so many people are afraid that if they truly connect to the grief and the loss that they feel, that it will just knock them down and they will literally not be able to get up again. Like if they really allow themselves to connect to that grief, then they're not going to recover from it. It's just going to completely overwhelm them, which is a false fear, because when you suppress grief, it comes out in moments when you don't want it to. It's going to come out. You can only push it down for so long. And how grief often presents itself if you are repressing it is that what happens is that, you might just suddenly burst out crying. Right? So nothing's really going on, but for some reason, something might be said or something will happen, and you'll just burst out sobbing, sometimes hysterically, and you can't stop yourself. So you'll feel like you're having this overreaction to things. So one of the things that I do spend a lot of time helping people with is coming to terms with this grief. And coming to terms with the grief means accepting and facing the fact that you do have chronic illness. And again, that can be something that just seems too big to take in. It just seems like if I really accept that and I really grieve the fact that I am now a different person and my life is different, then that is going to change everything, and it's going to change everything in a very negative way. So, as I said, grief is one of the phases where most people tend to get stuck. It's something you don't want to look at. It's something you don't want to acknowledge. It's something that you don't want to feel because it feels too big and it feels too overwhelming. And it just feels like too much, right? Because so many things change with chronic illness. And the hardest thing about it is that it doesn't get that validation, right? It doesn't get that validation out in our community. If you tell somebody you've lost a loved one, then people will give you empathy and sympathy and understanding. Or if you tell people that you've just, broken up from a relationship, they will understand that. They have a framework. You will get empathy. If you tell people that you've got cancer, they will understand that. They have a concept for that. You will get that empathy and understanding. But if you tell people that you have chronic illness, they have no idea. They have no concept for it. They don't understand what it means. And the more you try and talk about it, you don't get that understanding. You don't get that empathy. People are disinterested. People can accuse you of whining. People get sick of you talking about it. People say things like, oh God, you're always talking about being sick. Can't you talk about something else, right? So it doesn't get validated. It doesn't get validated by your doctor. Like when I walked out of my first doctor's office and I was physically and cognitively disabled, and he said to me, your thyroid has died. It's past its shelf life. It just happens. We don't know why. Just take your pill, get used to your new normal. Like, there was no acknowledgement that basically he was saying, well, that's it. Your life is over. Life as you knew it is over. You now have to accept being disabled. That's it. No advice, no support, no understanding, no empathy, no idea what to do next. So that is one of our biggest challenges, is that lack of interest, the disbelief, the lack of validation, and the lack of recognition as to what chronic illness means and how much it changes our lives and how much we feel that we have lost. So I hope this has been useful for you. As I said, you can get your own copy of this. It's a PDF ebook. So all you need to do, again, head over to my website, emotionalautoimmunity.com. There are lots of different ways you can sign up. When you have put your information in and you have signed up, please look for that confirmation email. If you do not respond to the confirmation email, you are not going to get this ebook, right? You have to respond to that first once you do that, you'll be sent another email with the link and you'll be officially on my VIP list. I do send out emails weekly with various different things. The people on my list are always the first to get any special offers, any new content, anything like that. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. This will be loaded up to my YouTube channel. So I have an emotional autoimmunity YouTube channel. You can head over there and subscribe. So any new email videos that I do, which includes, I do a video version of my podcast, broadcast is there, as well as any Facebook Lives and things that I do. They're all over there and you can watch them over there. You can listen to my emotional autoimmunity podcast that comes out every second week, where I speak about different topics. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, most podcast players. So you can get over there and like and subscribe for that. And I do these generally weekly, where I talk about different topics. So we're up to phase 5. So there's a few more to go. So I'll be back next week with the next phase. Maureen just said, thank you, Kerry. Perfect timing on your topic as usual. You are so welcome. So you all have a really good day, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next week. So bye for now.